Will you talk to me a little bit about meeting Jon, what that felt, and then I could ask a more specific question, but I don't want to kind of lead it.
I mean, yeah, it was one of those things where I'm sure you've had this experience before. You meet somebody in person. It's a classic show business thing. And I was like, he's shorter than I thought, you know? And you know, when I saw Jewish Yoda approach me, I was like, it's Jon, but it becomes less intimidating because also it was during a work day. So he wasn't in the suit. We did my whole screen test and he was just in his regular street clothes.
Right.
And Madrigal told me, he's like, and by the way, shout out to Al Madrigal. Al told me, look, Jon is a stand-up. He started in stand-up. Now he's the host of The Daily Show and he's this guy. But he's going to want to talk to you about the road and what it's like doing stand-up and what your life has been like. That's still really interesting because he has to do this show 4 days a week. So he's like, look, in between the little things that you have to do during the screen test, chop it up with him about stand-up. And thank God I was a fan of the show, but I never became so obsessed with that show the same way I was with, say, like basketball.
Right. Why? Because you would have been too nervous?
I would have been too nervous. Like if it was Allen Iverson or Kobe or Michael Jordan, you know what I mean? I would have like probably choked up and stuttered and been weird. I remember I met Vince Carter once and I was like super stuttery. And,
dude, let me tell you this. And it's oxymoronic because I'm telling you, I made a post on my Insta story last night and then took it down because it doesn't need to be public. Okay. Now here I am talking about it. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. But I posted yesterday when the news with Blake getting traded. Yeah. My Iverson, my Kobe, my Jordan, and my Vince Carter rookies, and then the Blake Griffin one. The other four are graded, and the Blake Griffin was just from random pack I happened to find and opened a couple days ago. Yeah. But the four names you mentioned, I mean, they're not random names. Those are the four.
Those are the GOATs of like our era.
Our era. Vince was when the All-Star game was out, like he was the Jordan. Yeah. But yeah, just those four people were on my Instagram story.
So you know how they imprint on your mind. I was a fan of Jon. We would watch him in college, but it wasn't one of those things where I devoured every episode. Yeah. Like, period. I wasn't a super fan.
Were you a Big Daddy fan, though?
Of course. He was great. He was a good actor in that movie. I think it was one of his best performances. Anyways, all that is to say is it's good that I wasn't so obsessed that he had kind of like this insane kind of God status in my mind. I just looked at him like, oh, he's this established comedian that I look up to and I admire, which I think helped me. And even in my screen test, like a couple of the producers were like, yo, don't make fun of him in your desk chat. But I could just feel like
make fun. Oh, just like bust balls.
Bust balls. Yeah. But anytime you get a chance, an opportunity to elevate a script, And Jon ended up telling me that later. I was like, what did you see in like Rob Riggle or Steve Carell or Ed Helms? And he was like, any correspondent I saw that could elevate material, basically take a line on the page and make it twice as funny, three times as funny.
Like what you did with your audition tape where you took the lines, but you made it your own version of it.
Correct. And then there would be times where I would kind of break the fourth wall, break expectation.
To camera four
or to him. I remember there was like a couple lines. At the time, he was really promoting his movie Rosewater, which was like one of his first films that he directed. So he left The Daily Show for a little bit. I don't know if you remember, John Oliver was hosting The Daily Show.
I don't.
For like 3-4 months while Jon was directing this film. He comes back. So this is his directorial debut. Mm-hmm. And I remember in the middle of my chat, I was referring to another movie that got like a 78 on Rotten Tomatoes. And then I end up kind of throwing to him and I'm like, which was higher than Rosewater? And he's like, actually, it got an 82. And I'm like, nobody saw the movie. And then I kept going into the chat and he started cracking up. He kind of like did the Jon would sometimes do this or like hit the desk. He started cracking up and then all the producers and writers started cracking up. But that was a little passing lane moment where I read the passing lane and I could have gone for it, which I did. And it went well. I had a fast break.
Yeah.
You go for it and it doesn't go well.
That's the craft.
You straight up whiff. But at that point, you know, I was already 5 or 6 minutes into a 10-minute chat, like into a long.
It's amazing instincts comedians have to. It's not a guarantee, but you mitigate risk live time.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, and so
we're in the pocket. We're a few minutes in. He's already trusts me.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was times where I was looking to camera one, which is the main camera, and through my peripheral, and this had happened so many times before with Aristotle.
Instagram handle here.
Aristotle, I could see in my peripheral, if my chat was going really well for Goatface, I could see him cracking up or smiling just through the corner of my eye. So I could see Jon watching me. And like he had a little smirk on his face. And by the way, at the time, he's hosted the show now like 16 years. Yeah. He's been doing this a long time. So I can tell he's vibing. Like he's having
You're invincible at that point.
I'm in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I can make a bold play now.
Yep.
You know, I can scramble out of the pocket and maybe run into the end zone.
Or to use a gambling analogy, you're playing with their money at this point.
Correct.
You could put the stakes a little bit higher.
Correct. And so the proudest thing the thing I'm most proud of isn't the tape and doing the extra credit to get the audition. It's the fact that I took a chance. You know, there were a lot of auditions for like shows that I really loved. I remember I auditioned for this show on NBC called Community, and I so wanted to get the show Community.
Community. The show on NBC called Friends.
dude, a lot of people don't know. Like it was a cult show. It wasn't Friends level, but yeah, it was a popular show. I remember auditioning for Community. I remember reading the script, being like, I want to be Abed so bad. I want to be on this show so bad. And I remember auditioning for it. I choked. I was like stuttery. I got dry mouth. I remember they asked me to slate. I was like, what does that mean?
Why are you nervous for that? Because you don't have Vince Carter in the room with you there.
I just remember reading the script and being like, this is actually really good and funny, and I think this show is going to be important and significant.
But why is that different than Daily Show, which already is important and significant? Is it the improvisation?
That's a really good question. I think that involved acting, which I hadn't taken a ton of acting classes with. I hadn't done a ton of like audition workshop type of stuff. And with this, I felt, dude, I've done this a million times before. I've made a bunch of videos that are just like this.
So most of your career has been making videos that are like this. It's extemporaneous, it's scripted at most. A lot of improvisation, talking to camera, performing, stand-up. Now you're about to do the morning show, which is acting, but I'm assuming, and I feel like I'm right, at least relatively speaking, you're not that nervous.
Right, because I'm playing a fake TV host again.
Oh, is it because you're playing that character?
Yeah, I'm even when I'm on set and I'm shooting, I'm like, I know this set. I've spent years on this set. I spent 4 years of The Daily Show on a set just like this. Spent another 3 years at Patriot Act on a set just like this. Like,
so it
doesn't feel foreign at all.
So your confidence comes from your preparation.
Yeah, it feeling comfortable. Feeling comfortable is everything. And the times that I'm the most proud is when I just stretch my aperture just a little bit. That's when I feel really like, wow, you put fives on each side of the bench press. You know what I mean? You add.
Yeah, I knew what you meant at aperture.
Yeah. A lot of people aren't following. With
I've
aperture.
never heard that as an analogy, just letting a little bit more light in or opening something up a bit more.
Yeah.
But the fives on your side is funny. I haven't worked out in so long.
Really?
But it's like.
Yeah.
You know what?
You know how
put five more on. Put five on each side.
Yeah. You know how people fuck around and they go put 25s on each side. You go, hey, don't be so bold. Just put fives.
Yeah, because it sounds like fives, but it's really 10.
It's really 10.
It's really 55 if you count the bar.
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like I lost you on 55.
No, I got it. But I was actually kind of a little hurt. I was like, hey man, we do the bar with 45s, and then I might put some fives and some 10s on if I'm feeling bold.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?